Lucina is the daughter of Chrom and the only fully female Fire Emblem character represented in Smash. Since she is Chrom's daughter, Chrom did teach her all of her swordsman skills, and he taught her everything he knows about swordsmanship. She does wield a falchion, which is the parallel falchion, which she inherited from her father Chrom, and Chrom cannot actually wield her falchion, as I said in the last video. Her falchion is also a little bit stronger than Chrom's, just because. And she also didn't awaken it fully, so it's not really at its full extent powers in Fire Emblem Awakening. But it's overall is still kind of a better falchion than Chrom's at this point in time, actually. Because of Grima in her games, she is involved with a couple time travel shenanigans. She originally comes from the future and travels back to the past to avoid her kingdom falling and Chrom dying and all of the hardships and troubles that come because Grima took over. Fun fact about Lucina, she actually has terrible fashion choices. When she was trying to disguise herself as Marth in the past, she originally picked out this chunky pair of goggles, but one of her siblings said, "That's disgusting, here, take this beautiful mask instead." So she has terrible fashion choices. Because she goes back to the past, in order to make sure that Chrom doesn't suspect that it's her from the future, in order to, keep things sane because of time travel shenanigans, she takes on the alias of Marth, her deceased great, how many greats you want, grandfather. She does enter into a tournament at one point, but Chrom does defeat her just because he has more swordsman experience than Lucina does in the games. But she doesn't, give up, really. She just comes back and fights him again. The second time she fights Chrom and Robin, her mask gets taken off, and she's like, "Hey, Chrom, I'm your daughter. See, I have this birthmark in my eye. It's the mark of Naga." And he's like, "Oh my gosh, you're my daughter." They try to kill Robin at one point in the story because they find out that Robin is possessed by Grima. However, if Lucina is married to male Robin, then she won't. But regardless, she usually doesn't unless... I'm pretty sure she doesn't kill Robin at all in the game, so. She has defeated the Fell Dragon, which, compared to most other dragons, I can't remember if it's, the best dragon, but it's still kind of, an impressive takedown. She defeated it mostly by herself. She's very strongly driven in all of her decisions, mostly to protect Chrom and her future. Actually, after all of the events of the game happens, she goes to her baby self and says, "You will be better than I will be." Because she's strongly driven to always become a better person. And she also really hates death. She will try to avoid it at any cost whatsoever, just because she just hates death. And actually, Tiki does show up in this game, and because Lucina is so convincing, Tiki actually believes that Lucina is Marth. She also never gives herself any credit for all the work she does. She'll train and train and train and say, "I'm not better than you. I still need to improve. I'm not a good person." That's just Lucina, I guess. Depending on whether or not Robin was male or female, her mother could change. I'm going to talk about this a little more when I get to Chrom, but there's several different moms that Lucina can have, and depending on what mom she has, she gets a special ability thing. But because Chrom is always her father, she will always get ether passed down to her. So, yeah. She is also the most popular Fire Emblem character as of 2017. So, that's probably why she's in Smash Bros. Stats-wise, she is a Lord class throughout the entirety of the game. Her stats are right here. Overall, her stats are pretty okay. She's a middle unit. She's not exactly too ridiculously powerful or ridiculously weak. She's kind of in the middle. So, that is lovely Lucina. So, next up, we will be talking about her father, Chrom. We're not going to spend eternity on Chrom. Let's be honest. Fire Emblem has a long lore. But anyway, you already know the drill. Chrom is the descendant of Marth. He rules the kingdom of Yelicia, which is no longer called Altea. Who knows what happened within the centuries and centuries and centuries of time that passed between when Crom and Marth reigned. So, Crom does not have, like, he's not the only, like, living descendant of Marth. There's also the sister, whose name I legit cannot remember, nor do I care to look up. But anyway, Crom does take down Valador, which, I mean, it's Valador. It's, yeah. Personality-wise, he's very direct and very committed to whatever he goes for. Like, if he wants to stop an army, he will stop an army. He's very committed to doing what he says he's going to do. Also, with personality-wise, he is very faithful in others. He always gives them, like, benefit of the doubt, and he always wants to see the best in other people. However, that's not always the case. In the game, he actually does have multiple marriage options, which are, I'm gonna butcher all these names, Sumia, Sally, Maybell, female Robin, Olivia, and a random villager girl if he does not get enough love points by the end of some certain chapter. And whichever woman he marries, that will become Lucina's mother, and she will inherit a skill from whoever she marries. Whoever gets married to Crom. So, fancy stuff. He's the current king of Ulysses. After the events of Grima, he will have his, like, 12 shepherds kind of children thing. I don't remember if they're all of his kids, but I know Lucina is his kid, specifically. I'm kind of too tired to look it up, and also quarantine's going on, so I don't really want to look it up. So anyway, one of the things that he is pretty notable about is he can use ether, the same thing as Ike. However, Ike can still use it a little bit better than Crom can, but overall, that's kind of like Crom's best, I guess. I mean, he did defeat Lucina in the tournament, and he is a pretty good swordsman. But other than that, Crom doesn't have, like, too much to him. He's kind of just like a fatherish, good father character guy. So, that is Crom. His stats are right here, so if you can take a look at those. Stats-wise, he is kind of in the, let's say a little bit in the higher range. He's not exactly, like, very low stats. And for some reason, I couldn't find any better stats than level 20, so I don't know. That is Crom in a nutshell. Cape. That is Crom in a nutshell. So, up next, we will be talking about Crom's wife, or Lucina's husband, or just another character in Fire Emblem Awakening, Robin. Robin is the protagonist of Fire Emblem Awakening, the most represented game in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, with 3 playable fighters out of it. There is a male and female version of Robin. So I looked into it, and there's not really that much of a difference between the male and female versions of Robin. Same with Byleth and Corrin. There are a little bit of differences here and there, but it's not big enough that it's like, female Corrin is, like, way more stronger than male Corrin, so they can move on. It's like, it's very minor. Like, for Robin, it's whether or not she can marry Crom or Lucina. So, not exactly, like, terribly different, but there's just, like, little differences. Robin was possessed by Grima, and because they were possessed by Grima, they lost a lot of their memories, so they're very amnesiac. However, Robin is a really good tactician. So, a tactician is a person that looks into things and they're like, oh, this is the best strategy to fight against this. And Robin can also use magic. She has her magical spellbook here. I can't find any Robin stats anywhere for some reason. Maybe I'm just not looking hard enough. I don't know. I've kind of given up. It's quarantine. But Robin's magical ability does outweigh a lot of the other fighters in this bracket. So, that's a heads up. Personality-wise, Robin is very insecure and very self-conscious about themselves, and it doesn't help that they're amnesiac about all of their past. So, it's kind of like personality. And since it is the character you play as in Fire Emblem Awakening, they are customizable. You can pick the gender, you can pick hair color, and I think what they wear as well. I'm not entirely sure. Power is kind of on the level of how Naga and Tiki are. I mentioned Naga last time, but I forgot to mention like what she was. She's kind of like the queen of all dragons, per se. Like, she's in charge. She's like the leader of all the dragons. So, you know, kind of cool. Robin has the same magical ability power level as the dragons. So, she also knows a lot of magic and spells. I didn't want to look up any of them, but there's a lot of them. So anyway, they also can kind of use a sword. Usually, they will just use their sword to cast magical attacks. I'm pretty sure. I'm not entirely sure. Please don't fire me. So anyway, that is Robin in a nutshell. And that's also the conclusion of this episode. Next time, I will be talking about Byleth and Corrin, and who our mysterious winner of this Fire Emblem bracket will be. So until next time, I will see you later.